have fought, they've cried, they've died for us to be where we are today. And we stand here proudly, we stand here boldly, we stand here unashamed, we stand here unafraid, we stand here to make change. If you're with me, shout yeah! Yeah! So the song says, I'll say the words again, when we're walking in the footsteps of our ancestors. You gotta walk strong and walk in song. I'll say it again. When we're walking in the footsteps of our ancestors, we gotta walk strong and walk in song. Let me hear you say it. We're walking in the footsteps of our ancestors. Gotta walk strong.
Gotta walk strong.
And walk in song.
And walk in song.
All right, now we put a little melody to it. It goes like this. 1, 2, 1. Oh, then when we're walking in the footsteps of the ancestors, you gotta walk strong, hey, and walk in song. When we're walking
in the footsteps of the ancestors,
you gotta walk strong,
you gotta walk strong,
and walk in song.
and walk in song.
Let's sing it again.
When we're walking in the footsteps of the ancestors,
gotta walk strong.
you gotta walk strong,
Walk in song.
and walk in song.
Say Dr. King.
When we're walking in the footsteps of Dr. King,
Yeah.
you gotta walk
And
strong,
walk in song.
and walk in song.
Let's sing it again.
When we're walking in the footsteps of Dr. King,
Yeah.
you gotta walk
And
strong,
walk in song.
and walk in song.
Sing it again.
When we're walking
Ancestors
in the footsteps of the ancestors,
Yeah.
you gotta walk
And
strong,
walk in song.
and walk in song.
To join the truth.
When we're walking in the footsteps of some joy the truth,
Yeah.
you gotta walk
And
strong,
walk in song.
and walk in song.
Say Dr. King.
When we're walking in the footsteps of Dr. King,
Yeah.
you gotta walk strong,
And walk in song.
and walk in
One more
song.
time, Dr. King. Say it.
When we're walking in the footsteps
Hey.
of Dr. King,
Yeah.
you gotta walk
And
strong,
walk in song.
and walk in
Everybody else
song.
say ancestors. When
When we're walking in the footsteps of the ancestors,
gotta walk.
you gotta walk
And
strong,
walk in song.
and walk in song.
When we're walking.
When we're walking in the footsteps of the ancestors,
strong.
you gotta walk strong,
And walk in song.
and walk
Say it
in
again.
song.
You gotta walk strong.
You gotta walk strong,
And walk in song.
and walk
Say
in
it.
song.
You gotta walk strong.
You gotta walk strong,
And walk in song.
and walk in
Hey,
song.
you gotta walk strong.
You gotta walk strong,
And walk in song.
and walk in song.
When we're walking.
When we're walking in the footsteps of the ancestors, you gotta walk strong,
And walk in song.
and walk in
Let's say
song.
John Lewis said.
When we're walking in the footsteps of John Lewis,
Hey.
you gotta walk strong,
And walk in song.
And walk
Let's
in
say it
song.
again. John Lewis.
when we're walking in the footsteps of John Lewis, you
Yeah.
gotta walk strong,
Yeah.
And walk in
Sing it.
song.
Ancestors.
when we're walking in the footsteps of the ancestors,
Yeah.
you gotta walk
And
strong,
walk in song.
and walk in song.
Good, good, good. Now make some noise. We're good. Now, do y'all remember the other song, We the People Are For the People and For the People Act? Y'all remember that one? Let's try that. We the people are for the people and for the people we act. Yeah.
We the people are for the people, and will you have our back?
We won't.
We won't ever let go
Of that hard
of
one.
that hard one.
Freedom.
Freedom.
Freedom to vote.
Freedom.
Let's do it again. We the people are for the
We
people.
the people are for the people and for the people.
Say it, we the people.
We the people
Are
are
for the
for the
people.
people. Now will you have our
We
back?
won't.
We won't ever let go of that hard one.
Freedom.
Freedom. Freedom.
Let me hear y'all sing it. Say it.
We the people are for the people and for the people.
We the people are for the
We the
people.
people are for the people.
Will you have our
and
back?
will you have our back?
We won't.
We won't
Ever.
let
Of
go
that hard
of
one.
that hard one.
Freedom.
Freedom to vote.
Say, oh no, we'll never let go. Say that, yeah.
Oh no, we'll never let go.
Cool, that's good, that's good. Y'all sound amazing. Okay, we ready to march? Hey, we ready to march? You ready to march? Are we ready to march? Yeah! Let's go. go. We're going to go with when we're walking in the footsteps of our ancestors. I want us to feel the energy of our ancestors, of our forefathers, of those that paved the way for us, of those that bled and those that fought for us. I want every step for us to feel their energy, to feel what they've given us in this moment. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
When we're walking in the footsteps of the ancestors, you gotta walk strong and walk in song.
When we're walking in the footsteps of the ancestors, we gotta walk strong
and walk in song.
and walk in song.
Let's sing it again.
When we're walking in the footsteps of the ancestors, you gotta walk strong
and walk in song.
and walk in song.
Hey, when we're walking,
When we're walking in the footsteps of the ancestors, you gotta walk strong
and walk in song.
and walk in song.
John Lewis!
When we're walking in the footsteps of John Lewis, hey, you gotta walk strong
And walk in song.
and walk in song.
Let's sing it again.
When we're walking in the footsteps of John Lewis, you gotta walk
and
strong
walk in song.
and walk in song.
Say Dr. King!
When we're walking in the footsteps of Dr. King, you gotta walk strong and walk in song. When we're walking in the footsteps of Dr. King, you gotta walk strong and walk in song. When we're walking in the footsteps of John Lewis, and walk in song.
This is our third voting rights rally in front of the White House in the past month as Congress has voted and not confirmed the Freedom to Vote Act. This was the last time we were here demonstrating for the Freedom to Vote Act, and now people are pushing even harder to say, President Joe Biden, remove the filibuster, and please allow us to pass these federal voting protections without the legislative passaging of Senate Republicans. Currently, with the filibuster, a supermajority is needed to do pretty much anything, making it almost impossible to pass voting
When
protections.
we're walking in the footsteps of Sir Joyner Truth, you gotta walk strong
Walk in song.
and walk in
Hey,
song.
when we're walking,
When we're walking in the footsteps of Sir Joyner Truth,
gotta walk in song.
and walk in
Hey,
song.
Dr. King!
When we're walking in the footsteps of Dr. King, you gotta walk strong
And walk in song.
and walk in song.
John Lewis!
When we're walking in the footsteps of John Lewis, you gotta walk strong
And walk in song.
and walk in song.
Let's sing it again!
When we're walking in the footsteps of John Lewis, you gotta walk strong
And walk in song.
and walk in song.
You gotta walk strong.
You gotta walk
There are a lot
strong
of familiar faces here today, as the civil rights and faith leaders who have been here since the beginning are out here once again. But again, today you're also seeing a lot of young faces, students mobilized
and walk in
for a
song.
democracy where their interests are protected.
And walk in song.
And walk
I
in
can hear
song.
you gotta walk strong.
You gotta walk
And
strong
walk in song.
and walk in
Hey,
song.
you gotta walk strong.
You gotta walk strong
And walk in song.
and walk in song.
Ancestors, when we're walking, when
We're
we're
walking in the footsteps of the ancestors. You gotta walk strong
walking song.
and walk in song.
Yeah, when we're walking.
When we're walking in the footsteps of the ancestors, you gotta walk strong
Walking song.
and walk in song.
Harriet Tubman.
This
When we're walking
the
in
Senate will
the
be voting
footsteps
on a
of
bill
the
back in
Harriet
Iraq.
Tubman.
And we are
You gotta
calling
walk
on
strong.
Joe
Walking
Biden
song.
to use
walk
the same
in
pressure
song.
he has
When
used
we're
for his
walking.
infrastructure
When we're
bill
walking
to bring
in the
home
footsteps
voting
of
rights.
you gotta walk strong
Cinema's
walking
cooperation
song.
on a lot of
Say
this
ancestors
work.
when we're
We are
walking.
calling upon the president to use his executive authority to ensure
ancestors.
ballot is
You gotta
protected at
walk
the federal
strong
level. It's
and
under
walk in
attack
song.
in every Republican-controlled state legislature in the country.
Ancestors. You gotta walk strong
Walking song.
and walk in song.
You gotta walk strong.
You gotta walk strong
And walking song.
and walk in song.
You gotta walk strong.
You gotta walk strong
Walking cut.
and walk in song.
Cut. You gotta walk strong and walk
As you can
in
see,
song.
we're here with hundreds of young people today who are all preparing to get peacefully arrested in front of the White House, calling upon the president to do his job and use his executive authority to fight for voting rights.
And walk in song. When we're walking in the footsteps of the ancestors. You gotta walk strong. And walk in song.
When we're walking
in the footsteps of the ancestors.
and walk in song. Right there. You gotta walk strong. And walk in song.
And walk in song.
You gotta walk strong.
You gotta walk strong.
And walk in song.
And walk in
Hey,
song.
you gotta walk strong.
You gotta walk strong.
And walk in
And
song.
walk in song.
Everybody clap when you're walking in the footsteps of the ancestors.
You gotta walk strong.
And walk in song, yeah.
Song.
When you're walking,
When you're walking in the footsteps of the ancestors.
you gotta walk strong.
You gotta walk strong.
Walk in song.
And walk in song.
You gotta walk strong.
You gotta walk strong.
Walk in song.
And walk in song.
You gotta walk strong.
You gotta walk strong.
And walk in song.
And walk in song.
Hey, we the people are for the people and for the people act. We the people are for the people, now will you have our back? We won't
Ever let go of that hard one.
freedom.
Freedom.
Yeah. Let me hear you say we the people. People act, we the people.
What do we want? When do we want it? Now! We are here today again because the promise is still unfulfilled. President Biden ran on the promise of voting rights for all. This is our time back here. But still, we have no voting rights. So I'm not going to do the talking today. I am Virginia K. Solomon, CEO of the League of Women Voters, because we have other people, more important voices here who are lifting up this message, people from all around the country who are here to have their voices heard, courageous young people who want their voice and their vote to matter. That's right. Yes. We are going to start with some words from Martin Luther King III and his family, who have joined us today and are helping lead us in this.
Good afternoon. Almost. Actually, still morning. What I've learned in my life is that it only takes a few good women to bring about change. My father and his team, my mother and her teams, and so many others showed us in a real sense how we as a nation could make progress. And yet we find ourselves standing in front of the people's house, the White House, actually talking about protecting, expanding, and ensuring that voting rights are real for all people. That's right. Sadly, since January, our nation and 19 states have chosen to create bills, over 400 now, that make it harder for people to vote. How many women and men gave their lives so that we have the right to vote? I never thought that I would be living in a nation which supposedly has a democracy, and yet our democratic rights for the world promoting democracy, but yet we are suppressing it at home. What's wrong with that? And why our United States Senate seems not to hear that, I don't know. 63% of the people want voter protections and voter expansion. Right. That means that that our senators, and largely Democratic, I think, senators, are out of touch with what the people want. If we're going to have a democracy, and our democracy is sustained, then we must protect, preserve, and expand the right to vote. That's right. That's right. So today, we are, some of us, going to jail. That's right. Or going to be arrested. We plan to be arrested. That's right. My father and his team, my mother and her teams, and so many of us were arrested. And today, my daughter, my wife, daughter, and I, and other young people are going to be arrested. All right. Because we got to make sure.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That we consistently do what John Lewis encouraged us to do.
Teach, sir. Teach.
He's talked about getting in good trouble. That's what we are standing here today saying. This is good trouble. Good trouble. Good trouble. Certainly we shouldn't have to do this. I am certainly disappointed in my nation that I call home for not expanding these rights today. But we're not going to give up. We're not going to give in. We're not going to give out. My father said back in the late 50s and early 60s, how long? Well, I don't know how long it will be, but he used to say, not long. Why? Because no lie can live forever. How long? Not long. Because truth on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne. How long? Not long. Because God Almighty is still on the throne. We're going to get these rights. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Martin Luther King Jr. III. I am so excited to be here with you all today. My name is Addison Rose, and I am co-youth mayor of Washington, D.C. Today, we are all here in person and virtually to fight for the humane right of equality and a voice through a vote. We're proud to feature the voices of youth activists today, young people who are passionate about protecting their right to vote. Yes. We are here to push President Biden to encourage lawmakers and the ones we elected and put into office to recognize that we are being silenced by not passing laws like the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act and John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, and many more.
All right.
But the most important thing today is that our youth standing to the left of me are taking charge. We are demanding a better future for the ones soon to come behind us, and it is my hope that today's rally will really elevate and encourage the voices of our youth to really impress upon the world how important it is for us to give our voices and push lawmakers and President Biden to understand this is our future that will not be messed with. I am so excited. We're a little nervous. We are risking arrest today, but we are ready. We are ready to come behind amazing, powerful trailblazers of the civil rights movement and many more like John Lewis and Martin Luther King Jr. and the other ones who risk their lives constantly like we will be doing today for the betterment of everybody in our country as a whole. So now I am more than privileged to bring up with me Yolanda King, who needs no real introduction, is Martin Luther King Jr.'s granddaughter.
Hello, Washington. How are we feeling today? 58 years ago, my grandfather gave his famous I Have a Dream speech during the March on Washington. He wasn't painting a picture, but rather painting a romantic picture, but rather one of a country where we could live without constant crisis. He wanted to end racism and unite racism. Today, decades later, my grandfather's dream is still not a reality. Racism is alive and well in this country. Here's how I know. 400 anti-voting bills have been snaking their way through the United States this year, and 30 bills have passed. Think about that.
Think about it.
Lawmakers have passed 30 bills to stop people from voting. 30 bills that silence the voices of black and brown people, immigrants, and young voters. The worst of these bills make it illegal to give food and water to voters waiting in line, and make it impossible for people to have a say in the direction of our country. That is not what democracy is all about. Today we are saying enough is enough. Young people, old people, black and brown people, and people from all walks of life are coming together. We have one important message to elected officials. It's time to wake up. Leading up to this day, people have been asking me why I march for voting rights as a 13-year-old without a vote and without any way to pass laws. What's my role in all of this? Here's what I tell them. My generation can't vote, but we can demand that our leaders do their jobs.
That's right. That's right.
We know that what people want in this country are not just words on paper, but real action for an inclusive and just country. Marching and activism are the tools we have, and we need to use them.
Yeah.
I march because this isn't a game. Policies affect people's lives. Whether we are talking about Voting Rights Act, or homelessness, or education, it's not about the budgets and the speeches and empty words. It's about the kids who are scared to go to school because of gun violence. It's about the black women who are fighting hard every day in places like Georgia to make it easier for people to vote. These issues are serious, and we are committed to change. I march because I am tired of elected officials putting themselves first.
That's right.
To be honest, I am disgusted by the behavior of many of our leaders. In this country, it is easier to register to own a gun than it is to register to vote. If you are a congressperson protecting firearms, why won't you protect the right to vote? That is completely unacceptable. I march because I want change, not just for me, but for everyone who comes next. My grandma said, every generation has to earn their freedom. I believe our generations can free the generations yet to be born. Adults have failed us, so we need to take matters into our own hands. And finally, I march because I know activism works. I've seen it in my own family. When President Reagan refused to pass the King Bill to make MLK Day an official holiday, my grandma met with many political leaders to tell them why it was so important. People marched, demonstrated, and used their voices. And eventually, Reagan signed the bill. This is what we are going to do today, to protect the right to vote. As a 13-year-old and an activist, here's my question to elected officials. Why are you in office? Are you here for power, or are you here to stop silence, or are you here to use your platform for good?
Tell them.
If you are here for good, it's time to stop silencing our voices. We need critical bills passed. The Freedom to Vote Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act. These bills cannot wait. And here's my message to other teams. Wherever you are, it's time to build a foundation of the country we dream of and make my grandpa's dream a reality.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. Can we get another round of applause? And now I have the great honor and privilege of inviting Jamal Holt from 51 for 51 to give us a few remarks.
How y'all feel? Good. Y'all supposed to say fired up because we out for voting rights. How y'all feel? Fired up! My name is Jamal Hudson. I'm a lead organizer with 51 for 51. It's a DC state hub, a campaign focused on making DC the 51st state with 51 votes in the Senate. And that means we're going to either fix or nix the filibuster. We said that 2 years ago that 51 votes was enough for Mitch McConnell to confirm 3 Supreme Court justices. Then damn sure that should be enough to confirm DC statehood, to confirm voting rights, to push forward the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, all the things that matter to us and why we're standing out here today. 58 years ago, as already said, Martin Luther King had a promise that the generations behind us didn't have to live and experience what it means to not have voting rights. Well, I'm grateful for the leaders like you who paved the way for us as young people to be a part of this movement. I am very unfortunate that we as young people are still fighting for the same thing that was fought for 58 years ago.
That's right.
President Joe Biden made it his promise. He told us that he was going to run on one thing, and that was racial justice. That was the key point and focal point of his administration, to tackle racial justice. But the unfortunate thing about it is he hasn't done anything yet. That there are over 400 voter suppression laws happening in our country that are suppressing the black and brown vote. Most importantly, there are over 400, including one of those right here in the District of Columbia, suppressing black and brown people from their voter representation and their democracy. So we're going to preach democracy, then we must practice democracy. And if we're going to preach democracy, then we must get rid of the Jim Crow relic filibuster to get that done and make everything possible with 51 votes in the Senate. So let's get it done.
Up next, we actually have Tyleek McMillan from National Action Network, and we're gonna ask Reverend Charles Williams to please bless this crowd, because we know that we need to pray for these voting rights right now. Yes.
I don't think that will work.
No justice. No peace. No justice. No peace. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. I said, what do we want? Voting rights. When do we want it? Now. We're all out here for a purpose today. I echo the words of late Congressman Elijah Cummings, who would often say, we're not just fighting for ourselves, but we're fighting for generations yet unborn. And I believe this moment is critical. It is critical that young people are here today to say that we are taking a stand, to say that we're fighting not only for ourselves and for our brothers and our sisters, but we're fighting for our children's children, so they won't have to experience what we're experiencing now. We see over 400 bills that are fighting back and pushing back that very critical right to vote. We understand that this moment cannot be taken for granted. That's right. We tell our senators, we want you to stand on the right side of history. What side of history will you stand on? Because we understand today we will take a chance to be on the right side. And we're telling you to stand on the right side. And we're not here to ask for justice. We're not here to ask you to pass voting rights. We're not here to tell you to negotiate our voting rights. We're not here to tell you to put our voting rights on the back burner, but we are here, as Yolanda said, to demand you pass voting rights. Because we deserve to be able to go to the ballot and not be in fear of being arrested for passing out a bottle of water. We deserve to go to the ballot, to be able to go freely and not have to wait in long lines or be redistricted or gerrymandered into districts that are far away from where we live. We understand there's truth and there's power in our vote. And we understand that power, and that's why us young people are here today, and that's why we are here to risk the rest and say that we will not wait, and we cannot wait, because we're standing on the shoulders of sheroes and heroes who came before us, and we will continue to lay the grounds, because we understand if there will be no justice, it will be no peace.
No justice! No peace! No justice! No peace! Let me hear you make some noise here! Today we want to send a message loud and clear. That message is, don't defect on me, Democrats. End the filibuster right now. We are sending a message that says, like those who have come before us, laws have changed.
That's right.
They told us they couldn't change them, and we changed them anyway.
That's it.
They said we could not change desegregation or segregation in the South.
Yeah.
We changed segregation in the South.
That's it.
There are policies
that we have changed because we put our bodies on the line. And today we're putting our bodies on the line because we believe that voting rights should be accessible for anybody and everybody in this country. Don't talk voting rights when you need me at election time. Let's do voting rights while we are getting ready to get into an election. You can't say you need me to turn out and you don't believe in democracy. And so today we're saying right here, right now, that we have gathered and we will take a rest. Because we're tired of being sick and tired. We're tired of being pushed and shoved aside. We're tired of them saying, wait, we're working on it. We're not going to work on our issues. Our issues need to be addressed right now. And so we're going to lay ourselves in a way of sacrifice. So as we lay ourselves in the way of sacrifice, in the tradition of the spiritual movement that we have worked in for so long, let us pray. God, we come thanking you for this moment that we have gathered here. We have gathered here to fight against injustice. And we know a threat to injustice anywhere is a threat to injustice everywhere. But more importantly, God, we gather here because we are calling accountability to all of the politicians. Does not matter whether they are Democrat. Does not matter whether they are Republican. Wrong is wrong. And the filibuster is wrong. Anytime that there is a time where we are being obstructed from having the opportunity to have access to democracy and the right to vote, God, we ask that you give us the energy, the wisdom, the knowledge, the patience, the vigilance, that we would not get weary in well-doing. That although we have come here before and risked arrest, God, we ask that you give us the vengeance that we'll continue to keep coming until justice comes. For we know the truth forever on the scaffold, wrong forever on the throne. Yet that scaffold sways the future. Behind the dim unknown standeth God beneath the shadows, keeping watch above his own. William Cullen Bryant was right. Truth crushed the earth shall rise again. The Bible is right. You shall reap what you sow. Amen.
Oh my God. Thank you so much. And now I would like to bring up Noah Barron from the Workers Circle.
Good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing? So my name is Noah Barron, and I'm 21 years old, and I use they them pronouns. And I'm a college organizer with the Worker Circle, which is a Jewish social justice organization founded 121 years ago by Eastern European Jewish immigrants. And ever since, we've been fighting for human equality, worker rights, racial justice, and a truly fair democracy. I'm here with 5 college students and our CEO and our president and board members and other leaders who are prepared to risk arrest today because our democracy is at risk. Yes. President Biden, you must act now. You must act now. On the back of my Worker Circle sweatshirt is the Yiddish phrase, Mir seinen Do. It was written by a 21-year-old poet and sung by thousands in resistance to fascism. Mir seinen Do means we are here. It is a cry of defiance, of remembrance, of solidarity. Powerful forces push against us and threaten our democracy, and so we say, Mir seinen Do, we are here. So we're going to do some call and response. You guys ready? When I say Mir seinen Do, you say we are here. Mir seinen Do. We are here. That was good. Okay. Mir seinen Do. We are here. We are here for every voter in Georgia who stood in 12-hour lines to vote. Mir seinen Do. We are here. We are here for the single mom in a state without early voting who works 2 jobs and can't get to the polls on election day. Mir seinen Do. We are here. We are here for all the trans people like myself whose name don't match what is on their ID and who face difficulties voting just because of who we are. Mir seinen Do. We are here. We are here for all the indigenous people who don't have a ballot box on their native land and who have to travel miles just to be able to vote. Near Simon Doe. We are here. We are here for all the young people, the students whose colleges have been split into 2 districts or more through partisan gerrymandering, which aims to diminish the power of college voters of color. Near Simon Doe. We are here. We are here for all the people who came before us, the ones whose names we know and those whose names we do not know, who fought tirelessly for the right to vote, who gave their lives so that women and Black Americans could cast their vote and have it counted. Near Simon Doe. We are here. We are here for Mother Earth, who doesn't get a vote at the ballot box, but who we know we must protect. Near Simon Doe. We are here. I believe that this country can be something beautiful, a place of equality, of freedom and justice. I believe in the power to vote. I believe in the power of the people, and I believe that we will win.
That's it.
And now I would like to bring up Morgan Starr from Blue Future, our last speaker.
Mazel tov.
Hello everyone, my name is Morgan Starr and I'm the co-executive director of Blue Future. We are a youth-led organization that works to provide political opportunities for young people and make sure youth voices are heard at all levels of government. Today we are here demanding President Biden work with us. It's time to nix the filibuster and fix our Senate. Most of us believe that in order for democracy to work for all of us, it must include all of us. Young people, especially young people of color, turned out in record numbers to deliver our democracy and elect leaders who will listen to our voices. While some politicians continue to use their voice to silence ours, we will continue to fight back.
That's right.
Yes. Young people are uniting across race and place to come together to own our seat at the table, to say no decisions about us without us. Our youth voices need to be heard. It is past time that voting rights are accessible for everyone in this country. We claim to be a beacon of hope and democracy and freedom. We need to live up to our highest ideals and make sure that no matter your race, zip code, income, or where you're from, you have the freedom to vote. Today, we say, President Biden, it's time. It's time. No more excuses. No more excuses. We need voting rights legislation now. We are here today in front of the White House. We are mobilizing online, and we will be back again and again until we get the voting rights legislation we deserve. Thank you.
And now we will have Bella from March for Our Lives.
Hello, everybody. Who's voting rights? When voting rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
What do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Bella Delasio, and I'm a policy associate at March for Our Lives, and I'm on the Team Enough Executive Council, which are both youth-led gun violence prevention organizations. As of today, there have been 37,672 gun deaths and 36,654 gun injuries in 2021 alone. I personally have been feeling the weight of gun violence in my home and in my community since I was 4 years old. I remember my senior year when I watched my former elementary school classmates be gunned down at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland, Florida. And I remember how nearly nothing was done on a national level to address the epidemic that claims the lives of at least 100 Americans every single day. Gun violence is an issue that impacts every community in the United States, and it is explicitly tied to our broken democracy. When 17 students and staff members were shot to death in their school, my senators were more concerned about their money from the NRA and the gun lobby to take action. They don't care about gun violence. They don't care about the black and brown people who are disproportionately affected by this issue every single day. And they especially do not care to make voting more accessible so that those who are most impacted can vote for ethical leaders who will prioritize gun violence prevention. We need bills like the Freedom to Vote Act,
We need bills like the John Lewis Voting Rights Act and DC statehood, because the communities that shoulder the burden of our American flaws, including gun violence, have been historically marginalized and cut out of the democratic process. They suffer from extreme anti-voting laws, and these inequities are intentionally perpetrated to prevent those who are most impacted by issues like gun violence from being able to have their voices heard at the polls. Hey, President Biden, you want to know the hypocrisy in it all? Did you know that when young people are shot dead, Republicans tell us that they send us their thoughts and prayers? And you know what Democrats do? They tell us to go out and vote. Well, guess what? We did. Not only did we vote, President Biden, my generation turned out in record numbers to vote for yes! And all the Senate and House Democrats who promised to keep us safe. Your inaction on reforming our democracy is killing us. Like I said earlier, as of today, there have been 37,672 gun deaths in 2021 alone, and there have been 400 bills introduced in state legislatures across the country that limit the right to vote. We saw the profound impact of not delivering on campaign promises last night as Youngkin took Virginia. The Gen Z is a voting bloc that you cannot ignore. President Biden, my generation is begging you to take action on the filibuster, to unite the Democratic Party, because my generation will inherit the consequences of your inaction. Gen Z has done our part in changing our world, but we can no longer afford to wait for democracy reform to pass. President Biden, we need you to take action so we can put people over profits. We need you to take action so all people have the right and accessibility to vote no matter what. And we need you to take action so Americans no longer lose their lives to the hands of a broken democracy. When voting rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
I want Biden to hear you. When voting rights are under attack, what do we do?
Stand up, fight back.
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
Great job. Great job.
Last but not least, I have the pleasure of introducing Mrs. King before we move forward to risk arrest.
The last speaker. A moment ago, someone said, well, do you want to speak? And I said, no. And then I heard a voice said, well, black women want me for you to speak. Yes! So for all the black women that have continued to come and save our democracy, I'm speaking. Yes! All of the black women who have stood time and time again when they were ridiculed, when they were told that they had no power, I am speaking. Yes!
Talk to them.
For all of the black women that have nurtured not only their families, but they have nurtured the families of all Americans, I'm here and I'm speaking. Yes! And black women will continue to show up. We will continue to show our power. But now it's time for America to show up for us. Yes!
That's right.
Now it's time for democracy to be truly what she ought to be for us. Yes! And it's time that this is the last time that we would have to stand so our daughters won't have to continue this fight. So no, we're no ways tired. We are, this is a movement of faith. And we know in our faith that when it's darkest, we look for the stars. And the last book that my father-in-law, Martin Luther King, wrote was called Where Do We Go From Here, Chaos or Community? There cannot be any community until we have peace and justice for all. Yes! What we know from science is that chaos is caused by disruptive energy. And now it's time for us to continue to disrupt, but we're also going to bring the energy of peace. We're going to continue to bring the energy of justice until righteousness truly rolls down like justice and love for this nation. Thank you.
All right, now we're going to ask all of those who are risking arrest armed Ben Jealous, the People for the American Way. Members, all those on risk arrest to move back towards the gates, to line up on the sidewalk. That sidewalk is the line. So just, yes, just bring it back.
Well, it's running dry, and if Congress doesn't stand up, the democracy will die. Our democracy is thirsty, and the well is running dry.
Everybody, please line up from left to right. Stay on the right.
On this side. On this side.
Everybody get 5 steps back. 5 steps back.
I'm going to ask each person to say who you are, where you're from, and why you're getting arrested. We're leaders of major organizations that communication workers. Stand up. Without revolution. So many others. And of course, choice matters.
We won't stop, can't stop until the filibuster is gone.
Thompson, we should thank Sister Virginia, Brother Ben, for gathering us here for LWB and PFAW. Folks, we're here because we will no longer have our votes taken for granted. The filibuster is the interposition and nullification that Yolanda's grandfather talked about 58 years ago. That's in the filibuster.
People's rights being taken away. We've got to act. We've got to act today because things can't wait.
Is this your first morning out here?
This is my first morning out here.
What was the final thing?
Well, our group has been coming here since the beginning of October, and this was just my turn.
That's a good reason. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
How about you? Can I ask you why you're out here this morning? Okay.
Hi, I'm Ann Toback. I'm the CEO of the Workers' Circle, a Jewish organization. We're here because we're not standing idly by while millions are being disenfranchised and suppressed, and where our democracy is at stake. Jews know what it's like to live in countries where democracy is at risk. We're going to be here again and again and again until we protect our democracy today.
If Joe Biden were here right now, what would you tell him?
I tell him use everything in every power you have to get the Voter Rights Acts passed, to get the John Lewis Voter Advancement Right passed and the Freedom to Vote Act passed. Our democracy depends on it. There's nothing more important today than every American's right to vote and for our democracy to be protected.
Thank you so much. How about you? Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, my name's Alana. I'm with Faithful Democracy, and I'm calling on our Catholic president to protect our sacred right to vote and do everything in his power to pass the Freedom to Vote Act and the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act.
Is this your first time getting arrested?
It is.
How do you feel?
I'm a little bit anxious, but I feel proud to be with all of the people I'm standing with for this incredibly important action.
Thank you so much. Hi, how are you? I heard you speaking earlier. It was great.
Thank you.
How are you feeling now that you're about to be arrested?
I'm feeling good. Like I said, we stand on the shoulders of heroes and heroes who came before us, and standing in that same vein. And even though the mission may seem wide, may seem high, may seem low, the fight continues. I think Reverend Sharpton says to me often, my mentor, that it's not about a generation that has it all, or generation that has all the energy, but it's our synergy together in this moment. And that's why we're here shoulder to shoulder, young and old, wish I was young, wish I was old, whatever it was, together to say that we're standing up and fighting back for our democracy, and we're fighting for generations from now.
So I just asked them, what would you say to Joe Biden if he were here?
I would say to Joe Biden that we demand voting rights be passed. We don't care how it gets passed, but it should be passed. If it's by executive action, if it's through the Senate, or if we even make an election day a holiday to ensure that folks gets to the poll, we want to ensure that voting rights be protected.
I feel like there are other things we should be fighting for at this point.
I mean, the good thing about it is we can walk and chew gum all at the same time, and so it does not take one focus to do one thing. We can pass voting rights and also pass police reform all at the same time. We can pass infrastructure while passing voting rights all at the same time. So to say that we are one-dimensional, I think it's sad to say, but we're able to do all these things all at the same time.
No, I think you're right, and I think that's the argument he uses, right? We're focused on other things, but that's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and we understand that, as we know, voting rights, as we see, is something that most of the country supports. It's heavily supported by majority of the voters, and so why haven't they acted on it? So we're demanding. We're not here to ask for it or negotiate it, but we're here to demand that voting rights be passed.
What do you think it says about the fact that Republicans seem to be like anti-voting? Because to me, what that says is that they know their ideas can't win.
Yeah, they understand our power. As we understand, there's over 400 bills across the country that restricts the right to vote. As we see here, I have a council member from Texas and Prairie View next to me here. And as we know, Texas is one of the major states where the state legislature is restricting the right to vote. And so they understand our power, and they understand taking away, having more than one ID, keeping longer lines, gerrymandering and redistricting keeps people and people of color particularly away from the polls. Like I said, that single mother who can't afford to get off work to stand in that long line, or we have to make it more accessible.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here, both of you. Can you speak to us?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's fine.
So where are you from in Texas?
I am from Prairie View, Texas. I'm a city councilman for position number 3.
And so what was the final thing that got you to travel to D.C. when you clearly probably have other stuff to be doing back home?
Yeah, for sure. I moved a lot of things on my schedule to make it to here today. But the reason why I'm here is because we're not going back. We're not scaling back to another time, to another place that we need to focus on right now in the future. Our kids, our kids' kids, and I'm here for generations yet unborn. So that's what the motivation that got me here on a plane last night from Texas, because the people who are yet born are depending on me.
What's the energy like in Texas? I mean, that's where some of the voter suppression legislation has been the most egregious.
Yeah, so the energy in Texas is really high right now. We are currently dealing with gerrymandering from redistricting. We have bills that have just passed been passed the Senate, the House, and signed by our governor. We're going to continue to fight those. I represent one of the cities. It's because of voting rights, and it's because of college students that every college student in this nation has the right to vote. So I represent a very historic district when it comes to voting rights, and I understand that, and that's also another reason I'm here today.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Oh. All right, are we interrupting people?
And I'm so glad to thank you for our friends, Legal Women's Voters, People for American Way, DFAT, and all the organizations out here, the clergy. We were out here a couple of months ago out in the park when we were doing civil disobedience, and they tried to ignore us. They didn't even want to arrest us that day. So we said, that's okay, we'll be back. And so we came back a couple of weeks later, and 5 of us, myself and 4 others, including Dan, we got arrested. We got arrested. They sent us to Central lockup, y'all. They sent us to the DC jail. And we said, you know what? We'll be back. In fact, I quoted one of my favorite musicals, and I said, tomorrow, there'll be more of us. And so a couple of weeks later, we came on back, and instead of 5 people getting arrested, it was 45 people. They got arrested. And he said, you know what? Tomorrow, there'll be more of us. And so here we are today. And tell me if I lie. Because today there is more of us, and tomorrow there will be more of us, and we're not going anywhere until we get the voting rights that we deserve, until we get the Freedom to Vote Act, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act, and
And yes, DC statehood, because as I always say, the denial of federal representation to DC is one of the oldest forms of voter suppression. So we will be back, and tomorrow there'll be more of us. And the last thing I'm gonna say before I pass the mic, we need President Biden to lean into voting rights. We need him to lean into ending the filibuster. We need him, y'all, this ain't rocket science. It ain't like he don't know what to do. A couple of weeks ago, in fact, 2 times now he's been to Congress to talk about Build Back Better. He's went to Congress to deliver a message that he wants that bill passed. I've yet to see him take that walk from this house to Congress to demand that voting rights get passed. Where's that walk, President Biden? Where's that demand? Don't act like you don't know how to get stuff done. So we need you to lean in and get the filibuster ended or modified. What do we say? Fix it or nix it, so that we can get the voting rights that we deserve. And I tell you again, tomorrow there will be more of us. Thank y'all.
Thanks so much, Cliff, for those inspiring words. My name is Jana Morgan, and I am the director of the Declaration for American Democracy. I am so proud to be here with so many of our incredible members, to be organizing with Black Voters Matter, with PFAW, with the League of Women Voters, the Workers' Circle, and so many of our incredible partners. We are here today because we have a demand. And that demand is democracy.
You want me to step forward?
To actually realize the promise of American democracy. To pass the Freedom to Vote Act, to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, and to pass DC statehood. Because we elected you, Joe Biden, and all of our representatives in the Senate and the House to do these simple things to protect American democracy. We are under attack. We are under threat because extremist politicians across the country are passing bills that will undermine and have undermined the right to vote. The very fundamental component of American democracy, the right to vote. We gave those elected officials power, and they don't realize that we can take it away. And they know that we have that power, and so they're trying to take it away. That is the right to vote. But we will not let them. And so to those extremist politicians and to the Republicans in Congress who refuse to even allow a debate on voting rights in America, I ask, how dare you? How dare you disrespect American democracy? How dare you disrespect the voter who gave you that power? And how dare you think that you can win this fight? When we are here, and we will keep coming, we will show up every week until we pass the Freedom to Vote Act, the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act, and DC statehood to protect, preserve, and make better American democracy. We will not stand down. Don't you dare think for a second that we will let you get away with this.
Nation, we're gonna heal the hate. We're gonna democracy.
Good morning.
Nation,
My name is Sean Allen. I'm the founder and president of Stand Up America. I am here this morning to stand in solidarity with the King family, with these young activists, with this incredible group of voting rights and civil rights leaders who are saying enough. Now is the time for voting rights. President Biden has said that our democracy is facing the greatest test since the Civil War. And he is right. A deadly insurrection at our nation's capital, the worst voter suppression our country has seen in decades, trying to silence the voices of black and brown voters across the country. Our democracy is in crisis. And what do we need in a crisis? We need leadership. We need President Biden to use the largest soapbox
This
in
is
the world.
Captain Evans of the United States Park Police. Because you are in violation of regulations applicable to this area under DC Code 22-1307, prohibiting crowding, obstructing, or incommoding. You must leave the White House sidewalk now by using the available exit to your east. All persons remaining will be subject to arrest. This is your first warning.
President Biden, Democrats in the Senate, we don't need more hand-wringing. We don't need more delays. We don't need more excuses. We need action. Now on voting rights. Now is the time for the Freedom to Vote Act. Now is the time for the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Now is the time for DC statehood. This afternoon, Republicans will filibuster for the third time voting rights legislation. This time, the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. Shame on them. They will make it clear the only way to protect voting rights is to end the filibuster. So President Biden, we have a clear and simple demand today. Use the power of your office, call on the Senate loudly and clearly to end the filibuster and protect voting rights before it is too late. Thank you.
My name is Sophie Woodfry. This is an incredibly emotional day for me because I am here with my 13-year-old daughter, Jagger, my daughter, Poet, and the King family, whom my father marched with in the March on Washington, and their incredible daughter, and these amazing youth advocates, and so many incredible people. I love you so much, I'm jealous. Your daughter, I am so proud to be here. Voting rights are for everyone. When is the time to act? Now. My father said that he believed someday all people, no matter what color they are, would be able to have their human rights. And our civil rights, our human rights are being stripped away. And it's time to make change. And the time is now.
Attention! This is Captain Evans of the United States Department of Police. Because you are in violation of regulations applicable to this area under DC Code 22-1307, prohibiting crowding, obstructing, or incommoding, you must leave the White House sidewalk now by using the available exit to your east. All persons remaining will be subject to arrest. This is your second warning.
But are we going anywhere? No! What do we want? Voting rights! No! We are here today for a fourth time. We regret being restricted. That we regret again and again and again until President Biden uses his power to move voting rights and fix or nix the filibuster. We are not going anywhere. We have primary elections coming in a few months. We have a midterm election coming in a few months, and it is illegal to hand out water in Georgia. You have our militia able to murder people in the polls in Texas. That is inhumane. And we will not stop. We will be here every week until we get voting rights. I'm going to hand this over closer now to my brother Justice Ted Jealous. Ted, take us over.
First, I want to thank all of the more than 60 people who are risking arrest right now. Let's hear it for the young people. My daughter Morgan is 15 years old. Next week, her great-grandmother turns 105. My grandma made me plans whatever she plans coming. Her grandfather was one of the last blacks to serve in the Virginia legislature there in Reconstruction. You know, all these protests started. Virginia takes hold from these protests because Joe Biden at his town hall in August said you can't stop the people from voting. He suggested that at state level, voter suppression laws at the end of the day really don't matter. My grandmother carries the pain of her grandfather and his pain of having watched his colleagues in the Virginia legislature vote to suppress the votes of his constituents is testament to the fact that these laws can stop voters from voting.
Attention! This is Captain Evans of the United States Park Police. Because you are in violation of regulations applicable to this area under DC Code 22-1307, prohibiting crowding, obstructing, or incommoding, you must leave the White House sidewalk now by using the available exit to your east. All persons remaining will be subject to arrest. This is your final warning.
So join in saying, hey, hey! The filibuster must go! Hey, hey! The filibuster must go! Now, all of these folks here are here in the tradition, all of us are here in the tradition of the civil rights movement in this country, which many times we have faced presidents who have known the right thing to do, but refuse to do it. I'm going to ask Martin Luther King III to call the conversation between his father and President Johnson the last time that the movement was demanding massive voting rights protection to stop state-level voter suppression bills. Martin?
Thank you, Ben. I just want to share a quick story. Because in 1964, President Johnson used all of his power. He said, to get the Civil Rights Act passed. And after that signing ceremony, my father and his team came to visit the president. And Dad said to the president, Mr. President, we now need to get the right to vote. You know what President Johnson said? He said, Dr. King, I'm sorry, I used all my power getting the Civil Rights Act passed. So upon leaving the White House, Dad's colleagues said, well, Dr. King, what are we going to do? What he said was, we're going to give the president power. We're going to start campaigns. Selma started a little bit after that. When John Lewis and Jose Williams and about 80 other people marched, actually 200, marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge. That March day became known as Bloody Sunday because they did not succeed that day. But they kept coming back. And they finally marched over the Edmund Pettus Bridge to Montgomery. Then President Johnson was able to sign the Voting Rights Act in 1965. All I'm saying is we can never give in, we can never give up, we can never give out until justice is available for all humankind in this nation that we call home.
What do we want? Voting rights. When do we want them? Now. What do we want? Voting rights. When do we want them? Now. What do we want? Voting rights. When do we want them? Now.
What do we want?
Voting rights.
When do we want them?
Now.
What do we want?
Voting rights.
When do we want them?
Now.
Everybody scream!
All right, now we're going to make sure everybody's here gets a chance to say who they are, where they're from, and why they're here. Who was the last person? Where does this mic stop? It was right here?
happy God so good that us. And I'm here because fixing American democracy is not a liberal issue, it's not a conservative issue, it's not a Democratic issue, it's not a Republican issue, it's an American issue. And we have to join forces together and do this together. Thanks everybody for being here. You inspire me. Thank you, John.
Also here from the League of Women Voters in Maryland. It is well past time to vote for pass voting rights, protection, and legislation to make sure that we are all equal and have the right to vote.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Juan Doak, the National Field Director of Black Voters Matter. I'm here today from the great state of Georgia. I don't have a lot to say, but I would offer this. Congress, White House, keep pissing off black voters to see what happens.
Thank you, Juan.
Here to support everyone's vote and equal opportunity.
Thank you, Henry, for Connecticut.
And I'm here because I believe we need to put democracy first, to address finance, racial justice, and so much more.
And I'm here because I want everyone to vote, and particularly young people to get out and to vote.
Thanks, Sally.
Hi, I'm Larry. I'm with the Workers Circle. I'm a retired federal government executive. I've the world since seeing how precious democracy is. Nothing more important than democracy than the right to vote.
Thank you, Larry.
Hi, I'm Yasmin with Future Coalition, and I am here because of all of these amazing young people who are here to live no matter your age, no matter your citizenship status, no matter your incarceration status. This matters, and we are all here to defend voting rights now, and these people are the future.
I'm Charlie Carter with the Democracy Initiative, and I'm out here today because democracy is just not voting rights. It's free and fair elections, it's climate justice, it's worker rights, and all of those things are being held up by the Jim Crow filibuster. We need to fix or nix the filibuster. I'm Jasmine Profit. I'm here with the Workers Circle, and I'm here for people of color and to end partisan gerrymandering as people before politicians, and to end disenfranchisement of formerly incarcerated returning citizens.
I'm Noah Barron. I'm here with the Workers Circle because we deserve a democracy that truly works for all of us. This democracy is for us, and for that to work, we need voting rights.
My name is Jamal
Hi, my name is Lourdes Robinson. I am the other co-youth mayor for DC, and I am here for the racial injustice, using slavery, and voting rights. Hi, my name is Jabber Blue. I am here with the Future Coalition, and I'm here because democracy needs to be fixed. I am a young miner, and I am scared for our future, but I have hope for things like this. Everyone coming together to make a change like this. Hello everybody, my name is Addison Rose, and I'm the other co-youth mayor of Washington, D.C., and I'm ultimately here today to demand our right to equality in America and to follow on all of the civil rights leaders that came before us.
Hi, I am Noah
and our future and our youth. I'm Jack Horowitz, and I'm here because every citizen in America has the right to vote, and their vote should be heard. I'm Liz Sandler, I'm the board of the League of Women Voters of the United States, and I'm here because we need voting rights now. My name is Ari Williams. I am from Texas, and I am here to fight for the right of everyone in my state to have representation through their right to vote. I'm Noel D'Amico with the Workers' Circle, and I'm here to send a message to Biden from the Jewish tradition. Do not stand idly by. Get these bills done now. Good morning, I'm Pastor Logan, St. Philip Haley Church, St. Paul Haley Church from Georgia. Bishop President T. Jackson is my bishop. I stand with the brothers and sisters of the African American Minnesota Alliance. I stand with People for the American Way, and I'm back. I was a part of the original 5, and I'm black, and I'm back. And we will be back. Hi everybody, I am Minor. I am with the African American Ministers in Action. I am from Cleveland, Ohio. I am an African American preacher, and I am standing on the great tradition of standing with them who cannot stand for themselves. And I want to say to you 2 things. Keep organizing, and let's keep agitating until voting rights happen for us. My name is Khalid McMillan. I serve as the National Director of Youth and College at National Action Network. And I'm here to fight for voter rights and demand voter rights. And we say to them, they can cut the grass all they want. And we still be out here and demand that voter rights be protected. How's everybody doing? My name is Nathan Alexander III, and I serve as the youngest city councilman in the state of Texas. And I'm here today to demand members of Congress to vote on these important bills and to demand President Joe Biden sign them immediately.
My name is Morgan Starr, and I'm from Pennsylvania. I'm here for the young people and for DC State, the place I call home. My name is Elena Boyle, and I'm with Peaceful Democracy, and I'm here as a young Catholic calling on our Catholic president to protect our sacred right to vote. Hi, my name is Cecilia Bernard, and I'm with the Declaration for American Democracy Coalition, and I'm here today because in order to make meaningful change on issues that are important to young folks, like climate, we need a democracy that works for all and a one where all voices are heard.
Hi, I'm Richard Rommel. I'm the president of Workers' Circle, a 20-year-old Jewish social justice organization. As Jews, we are instructed to pursue justice. We are not going to sit by and watch people's rights being taken away without doing something. We have to act, and that's why we're here.
Hello, I'm Larry Harris. I'm pastor of Mount Olive Missionary Baptist Church and the president of the Mount Pleasant Ministerial Alliance. And I'm here with the African American Ministers in Action to say that I am sick and tired of being sick and tired of our political leaders making a mockery of our democracy. It is time for action, time to not hide our face or head concerning our voting rights. I am here to say voting rights now.
My name is Reverend Jimmy Update, Senior Pastor of Zion Hill Missionary Baptist Church in Cleveland, Ohio, Executive Director of the Mount Pleasant Ministerial Alliance, and also part of the African American Ministers in Action with People for the American Way. We are here to support all of our young people. people who have stood up on faith to let this administration and Congress know no more, no more. In the words of Dr. King, the time is always right to do what is right. Do what is right, Joe Biden. Do what is right, but you will also be out of office.
My name is Lori Rayford Garcia. I come from Bar for Progress, Florida Voices for Progress. I come here as a mom. My job as a mom is to feed, clothe, shelter, and educate my child. But I also have a job as an American mom, and that is to fight for democracy. I am here to fight for my child and all of our children's future. Joe Biden, we need democracy reforms now. Voting rights now.
I'm Ann Toback. I'm the CEO of the Workers' Circle, a progressive Jewish nonprofit social justice organization. I'm here standing on the shoulders of our founders and my ancestors, all to the United States, seeking freedom, escaping violence, and escaping from lands where their voices were not heard or suppressed. Today, we're here to fight for democracy for all. We're not going to stand by today like our ancestors didn't stand by over 100 years ago as millions of people's votes are suppressed. So we're here for millions of American people across the country, and we're coming back again and again and again until our voting rights are restored. And we will. Hear us, Joe Biden.
Thank you, Ann.
Hi, I'm Crosby King. I'm with Indivisible 1000, that's up in Maryland, and I'm here because everybody has the right to vote, and they should. Starting with the king and ending with the king. Thank you, Crosby. Individual's been great.
Hello, my name is Reverend Patrick Young from New York, First Baptist Church of East Elmhurst, and I'm a part of Impact, mobilizing preachers and communities. I'm also part of African American in Action, part of PIFA, and I'm here to make sure that those in the future will have the right to vote as well as those right now have the right to vote. This nix or fix this filibuster. It's time to put up or shut up. It's time for us to fight for what is right. It's a crying shame that we still have to fight for voting rights in this day and this time. It's time for us to make a difference. We are not leaving. We are here. We will come back. We will come back. We will come back. We will come back.
We choose democracy. We're gonna give the hate in this nation. We're gonna give the hate. We choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy.
A month ago, 5 people stood in the middle of that street. They were told it wouldn't be the Park Service that would arrest them, it would be the Secret Service. They were told that they would have to spend a night in the jail that today the federal government condemned as not fit for human habitation. And there was a critical moment when Sister Quincy Howard, a Catholic nun, had to make a decision about whether or not she would go in. And there's a woman from the Workers' Circle named Noel, I said her, Noel D'Amico. And I thought it so poetic that this Catholic nun was joined by a Jewish activist whose name is synonymous with that nun's God, his birth. And I want us to hear from this quiet warrior because she truly in that moment is one of the most courageous people I've ever been with in this movement. So let's call forward my sister Noel.
What I want to say to you is that the 5 of us that day, when we went and were apprehended by the Secret Service, and we had a long time to sit in isolation, handcuffed to a pole or to a bench, to think. And to think about the stakes for our democracy, to remember the millions of people who came before, to decide at that moment what will come next. History has given this moment into our hands. When I was being held by Secret Service, they said, you know, we have to fingerprint you. We have to take all your biometrics. And I said, okay. And when I extended my left hand, they said, oh, your wedding ring will have to come off. And so I tried to get it off. I was married. I'm married for 28 years. And I went to the ladies' room and I tried to wash my hands with cold water, to put soap on it while in handcuffs. And I tried to pull and pull and pull and it wouldn't come off. My fingers swelled. So when I got back, they said, you have to get it off or we're going to cut it off. And I stood there for a moment and the entire room went silent. The Secret Service officer, Sister Quincy, was chained to a bench. And I said, cut it off. And you could hear the sound of that hand drill turning. And in that moment, I thought about our nation's broken promise of democracy. How many people have died and given up years of their lives and been denied? How dare this country take us backwards? We must not go back. And we must not, we will not go back. And that's why we are here, to make good on that promise of democracy so long overdue and so hard fought. And so today, I couldn't be prouder to stand with so many people. And I know across this nation, people are making the decision to stand up and to speak out. And when we do so together, when we stand together, undivided and clear, we will win!
My name is Louis Reagan, pastor St. Paul Amy Church. I had to give this narrative as a part of the original 5 that Ms. Noel just mentioned. Ben Jealous didn't tell the whole story about what happened to him and what happened to us, but this man underwent suffering that is in line and in lockstep with our ancestors. They kept him in handcuffs until 2 o'clock in the morning. We were arrested around 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And because he requires a specific kind of apparatus for sleep at night, they took him from medical center to medical center, trying to find a place for him. They handcuffed him to a medical bed as if he was some kind of criminal, when the real criminals are those who deny the right to vote. 2 o'clock in the morning, they're in handcuffs. And they wound up bringing him back to the very roach-infested, egregious conditions that we all suffered. The mark of leadership is not where we are in times of comfort, but how we stand when we are uncomfortable and unapologetically standing for what is right. I want you to realize that this sacrifice in no way compares to what our ancestors endured. I want to thank you, my young sisters and brothers, for being willing to raise your fists, for being willing to raise your voices, for being willing to put your bodies on the line, and to know exactly the company that you're keeping today. I also want to report to you that that same holding space that brutalized Ben and me and Noel and others and Albright, Clifford Albright and our Catholic sister has been shut down because not only did we go to the jail cell, but we complained because of the conditions in the jail cell. It is symbolic of the fact that it is a microcosm of what takes place. We speak up and speak out. And just like we shut that jail cell down, we're going to shut down the apparatus that will stop our rights to vote. And we're going to win because when we fight, we win! When we fight, we win! When we fight, we win!
We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the hate.
Next, I'm going to ask our councilman from Texas. You know, right now there are 3 states in this country, Georgia, Arizona, and Texas, where the state legislature has empowered themselves to overturn the people of that state if they don't like the outcome of the election. We have had leader after leader from Georgia and Texas come up to these protests. And I want to thank everybody from Maryland and D.C. and Virginia and Pennsylvania who are here representing those who are truly on the front line. But our brother councilman every day is on the front line in a state where they're actively suppressing voters to limit the future of public servants like him.
Thank you, sir. How's everybody doing? Thank you guys so much for being out here today. This fight is more than just everyone out here today. This fight is for the people who are here, the people who are not born. And in Texas, we are on the front lines for it. We are seeing laws, we are seeing bills going through the legislators. And it's our job to make sure that we're fighting to stop those bills. It's things like this, coming out, going to the state capitol and testifying. All those things are showing your voice. I'll continue to testify. I've testified in front of the Capitol multiple times. I'll continue to come to DC as much as possible. But the fight is important, and we have to show that we're willing to take what it takes. We're willing to show what it takes to get bills passed through the Senate, to get them on President Biden's desk. This is crazy that we're still fighting this fight decades later. Decades later, my grandparents fought this fight, my parents fought this fight, and here I am in front of the White House fighting the same fight. We have to do better. We gotta do better. Our children are depending on us to do better. Thank you guys for coming out here, but the fight is just beginning.
Next, we have the National Youth Director, the National Action.
I'm gonna, you know, I have an old soul, and I'm reminded as a southern boy of how we got over. And I want to tell you, as Councilman just said before us, we've been here before. And I know that you might be disappointed by what we see in the Senate. You may be disappointed about action not happening, and that's why we're here demanding that action happen. But I want you to take comfort in these words that we must accept finite disappointment will never lose infinite hope.
Come on, Tyreek!
As we know, the valley may be low, but we've been here before. The mountain may be tall, but we've been here before. The mission for social justice and economic justice and voting rights is still not finished. You see, we have been here before. And so we know that we must continue to fight and we must continue to keep the pressure. I remember a story that former state senator Nina Turner told me before. She told me a story about her great-grandmother. And her great-grandmother told her about 3 bones. All you need is 3 bones, and I want to remind you about those 3 bones. She said all you need is the wishbone, the jawbone, and the backbone. When somebody heard me, she said that the jawbone will give you courage to speak truth to power and stand your ground in the face of adversity and opposition. The bone of the law, the superpowers graduation is the backbone. Because it will keep you standing through the trials and the tribulations and the tests. And we are being tested right now, and that's why we must continue to speak truth to power, because we have been here before. And understand that it may be uncomfortable, but it is in our uncomfortable situations that produces the best of us. And if we continue to stand in the gap, to stand in the midst of what we're seeing, I believe that we will win. When voting rights is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When voting rights are under attack, what do we do? We choose democracy in this nation. Democracy. Hi everybody, I am Bishop Tony Minor, and I just want you to know that we are standing with so many countless names, individuals that we may not remember, but we're standing in memory of people like Amelia Boyton, people like James Orange, everyday people who put it on the line for social justice and for the voting rights. I say to us that we have some difficult days ahead. This is a spiritual fight. It's a fight for those of us who heard the voice crying in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, and stand up for social justice. We got some difficult days ahead. But you and I, as everyday people who are inspired to go back to our communities, go back to our towns, go back to our states, and to organize. We must make phone calls. We must send emails. We must do all that we can to empower the people to raise our voices. Let me tell you this. All of my life, I have been standing in line. All of my life, I've been waiting in line. I don't mind waiting right now. I don't mind waiting until they come and tap me on the shoulder and take me away, because I am standing up for right. Deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall. We will. I said we shall. I said we shall. I don't mind waiting, because we shall overcome. We're gonna make the hate. We choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy.
These protests started because the president of the League of Critical Voters, the CEO of the League, said, it's been a long time since the women of the League got arrested in front of the White House. The last time President Woodrow Wilson was president, the fight was when he suffered. And Virginia K said it's time to bring the fight back. We cannot stand by and risk the possibility that voting rights are not protected. CEO of the League of Women Voters and the convener of these protests is Virginia K.
When I called my brother Ben and said, we need to take this fight to the White House, he was the first one to say yes. A lot of other folks were worried that we wouldn't get invited to the Christmas party. But I think we've already lost that invitation. We continue to be here not because we like it, and not because we are opposed to this administration. We are here to keep the backs of our friends so that we can help them muster the courage to do what is right for voting rights. The League of Women is a 101-year-old organization born out of the suffrage movement. And we are here 101 years later continuing our legacy.
We will be back on November the 10th. We will be back on November the 17th. And we will be coming back for as long as it takes. We ask all of you to join us as we continue this fight. Tonight, the Senate will be voting on motion to be able to move forward the Jobless Voting Rights Advancement Act, and we know that it will be filibustered. So now is the time to make the choice. Now is the time for voting rights. Now is the time to use or miss the filibuster. I think there's just a few of us not getting ready to raise the rest, and so I'm going to hand this back. Because we need some, I have more pastors behind me who are ready to close us out in prayer. Because we bless this White House and this president so that he can have the moral courage to do what is right for voting.
We got you as you're in charge. In spite of the man who occupies the place in the White House, we will stand with us, and ultimately you decide what happens in human history. So we give this process and this experience to you in the name that's above every name, because we believe that you made a difference in the past and you'll make a difference today. Amen. Dear Creator God, we ask that you would speak to the heart of this president and to all of our federal office holders. Speak to their heart and give them the courage and the vision that they might stand up for the people. We know, oh Lord, that there's no greater step that we can take than a step into the voting booth. We pray, Lord, that no barriers are there to prevent the vote. We pray, Lord, that we would be inspired to continue to raise our voice, that we might stand up for social justice. Amen.
Most holy and righteous one, we know that in your word you said you can take the heart of the king and turn it whatever way you will. Oh God, move right now in the White House. Move right now in Congress, congressional hallway, offices, wherever they are, oh God. Touch them and let them know that we are your people. And we stand for right and righteousness. Have your way right now. We know that thou art able. The word says you can do exceedingly and abundantly. Above all that we can ask or think, according to the power that worketh within us. So we're going to trust your word today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for allowing us to see that which you have done down throughout history. That is to bring fulfillment to prophecy. For on this day, my heart has been encouraged, for I have witnessed with my own eyes a child, even children shall lead. And they've done that today. I am encouraged to stand with my children and my children's children today. And last but not least, I am bodaciously proud to be arrested alongside of them. In Jesus' name now, let not each and every one of us grow weary in well-doing, for we shall reap with faith now. Amen.
And now into their hands we commend our bodies and our lives as a living sacrifice for the sake of social justice. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree planted by the waters. We shall not be moved by them. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. Planted by the water. We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved. We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the hate. We choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy. Let's say it. We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the hate. We choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy. We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the hate. Y'all say it. We choose democracy.
We choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy.
Yeah, we're gonna heal, say it. We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the hate. I'm gonna say we choose democracy.
We choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy.
I'm gonna win louder. We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the hate. We choose
democracy in this nation. We choose democracy.
A little bit louder. We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the hate. We choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy. We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the hate. We choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy. One time, we're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the hate. We choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy. Yeah, we're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the hate. We're gonna choose democracy in this nation. We choose democracy. And right now, we're gonna heal the hate.
We're gonna heal the hate.
We choose
democracy in this nation. We choose democracy.
One more time, we're gonna heal.
We're gonna heal the hate in this nation. We're gonna heal the hate.